Hey everyone, Q here. So this is the comparison review that some of you have requested. The XP Pen Artist Pro 16TP 4K touchscreen pen display versus the Huion Kamvas Pro 16 4K pen display. With some luck, I happen to have these two pen displays with me at this time. So big thanks to XP Pen and Huion for sponsoring the units. By the way, I have already reviewed them individually. If you want to check out the in-depth detailed reviews, just visit the links that I have for you in the video description below. Because in this video, I'll just be talking about the main differences between these two, the differences that affect your drawing experience. The design of both pen displays look fantastic. The build quality is excellent. Both are very thin. They are about the same size as a 15.6-inch laptop, but thinner than most laptops. So the main difference between the display is actually the surface. The display on the XP Pen is more glossy and reflective, and the glass is treated so that you can use finger gestures or have your palm move on the display very easily. So your palm and your fingers can glide on the display very easily. And because there is no matte texture, so when it comes to drawing with the pen, your pen is going to glide very smoothly on the surface. Many artists probably prefer to draw on a matte textured surface so that you can get that tactile drawing experience. Well, on the XP Pen display, there is no tactile experience. It's just very smooth. So it's going to take some time to get used to. However, I'm still able to get the control that I need to draw precisely. So it's not a big issue. It's just a difference in terms of the tactile drawing experience compared to drawing on a matte textured surface. The tactile drawing experience on the Huion Kamvas Pro 16 4K is just fantastic. You can really feel the texture of the matte glass. This is not a matte screen protector. And recently, Huion has also released some felt tips that you can use to replace the plastic tip of their pen, and this will even give you a more tactile drawing experience. Drawing with these felt tips really feel like you are drawing with a felt tip marker or a pen on physical paper. So the experience is really good. This is $10 for 10 pieces. So that's how it sounds like when you are drawing on a matte textured surface. When you are drawing on the XP Pen, there is no sound at all. Another visible difference is how the displays handle reflections. So here you can see on the XP Pen the reflection is very clear, whereas the matte surface here will diffuse the reflection into this white haze. Basically, you will want to adjust your pen display so that there are no reflections on the displays. Both displays have 4K resolution, so user interface elements will be very sharp, very detailed. Things like text, the icons, the visuals, everything will be really sharp. Pixelation is not noticeable. In terms of color accuracy, the Huion is slightly better. Using a Spider 5 Pro color calibrator, I measured color support for 100% sRGB and 98% Adobe RGB, and for the XP Pen I measured 98% sRGB and 90% Adobe RGB. So the Huion has slightly better color accuracy. However, in the real world, with a side-by-side comparison like this, they both look the same to me. Now, the matte screen here actually affects the image quality slightly. The matte textured surface actually introduces some color noise or grain to the whole display. I'm not sure if my camera can capture that, but my eyes definitely can see the grain or the color noise. By the way, the viewing angles are fantastic. The colors, they don't shift much. even when you are viewing from different angles. But there is the color noise, which some people may find it acceptable, but some may not. I'm not sure if you noticed, but the white here is kind of off-white. It still looks very white, but it looks off-white compared to the white here. So that could be due to the matte screen protector. Anyway, it's difficult to tell the difference unless you have two displays side by side to compare. So these two displays are actually calibrated to show the same colors, but you can still see some differences here with a side-by-side comparison. Another difference, the stand is included with Huion, but there is no stand with the XP Pen. Anyway, the stand that I'm using here is my own stand, the Pablo PR100. Because the stand included with the Huion, the latch here is a bit small, so there is this risk of the tablet sliding off, and you do not want that, obviously. So that's why I'm using my own stand. So the image quality is actually better on the XP Pen. Again, this is just marginally better compared to the Huion. And this also has very good viewing angles as well. The colors, they don't shift too much as well when viewed from different angles. The maximum brightness for the Huion display is up to 160 nits from what I've measured, whereas for the XP Pen is up to 260 nits. So this is noticeably brighter at maximum, when both are running at maximum brightness. If you want to get maximum brightness with the XP Pen, you actually have to connect one cable to a power source. If you just use the USB cable that is connected to your computer, you can only power this up to 50% brightness. If you go any higher, the screen will just black out. Now, if you are using the USB-C to C cable with your computer, that's great because the cables will come out like this to the side because it's an L-shaped cable. If your computer doesn't have USB-C, if your computer doesn't have USB-C, for video output, you would have to use the HDMI cable. And this end here actually goes in like this. It doesn't come out like this, so it's going to look a bit weird here, where one cable is coming out like this and the other cable is coming out like this. Whereas on the Huion pen display, this is powered just by this single USB-C to C cable, but you only get maximum brightness of 160 nits. Both pen displays are laminated, so there is no gap between the pen tip and the line that you draw beneath. So this is the XP pen. This is quite sensitive. The main selling point of the XP Pen here is actually the touch screen, which allow you to perform finger gestures like zooming in and out, panning, rotating. Now, how responsive this is will sometimes depend on the apps you use. For some reason, with Clip Studio Paint here, it's not as responsive compared to other apps I've tested. Now, because you can use finger gestures, some of the apps that were designed for Windows tablets can now be used as how they should be used on this display. So for example, here the responsiveness of the finger gesture is almost instant. And this app is Concepts. This app is actually designed for Windows tablets for a touch screen user interface. So if you were to use this app on a non-touch screen display using your stylus and your keyboard, it's going to be very difficult to use because you will find it very difficult to zoom in and out, pan around, rotate without using your fingers. So if you like to use Windows tablet apps like Concepts, Autodesk Sketchbook, Sketchable, or basically any drawing app that's designed with finger gestures in mind, then XP Pen is the pen display to go for. If you are a Mac OS user, I do not recommend you buy the XP Pen because finger gesture support is very limited on Mac OS as well as on the apps that are running on Mac OS. So you don't want to buy this display to use the finger gestures, only to realize that you can't use them with Mac OS. Being so accustomed to drawing on the iPad and also on touchscreen tablets, sometimes I find myself doing this gesture on the Huion pen display. But the thing is, even without a touch screen, you can still navigate around, you can still zoom in and out, you can move around, just that when it comes to rotating, it's not easy. So it's definitely more intuitive to draw and navigate with a touch screen display. But not having a touch screen, to me, it's not like a downside. Concepts happens to be one of my favorite drawing apps on the tablet. So being able to use Concepts on Windows with this pen display now, to me, it's really fantastic. Let's talk about the pen. So this is the Huion pen. It supports tilt and slightly over 8,000 levels of pressure sensitivity. It's not powered by battery, so no charging required. There are two side buttons here, which you can customize to any shortcut you want. This rubber grip is quite comfortable to hold, but it collects dust very easily. This is the pen from XP Pen. There is one eraser button at the back, one side button here. There is no rubber grip, but I actually prefer this because it doesn't attract dust. This is not powered by battery as well. This supports tilt and slightly over 8,000 levels of pressure sensitivity. Now the downside to this pen is there is only one side button here. If you want to have a dual display setup with the XP Pen, there is a problem because you will need to find some way to switch the cursor from one display to the other. So you can set the shortcut to switch display to this button here on the pen, but there is only one button here, so you will lose access to the right click. There are no physical shortcut buttons on both the XP Pen and the Huion pen display, but with the XP Pen, this is a bigger problem because there is only one side button here, whereas on the Huion pen, there are two side buttons, so you can set one to right click and the other one to switch display. At the time of making this video, there is no other way to set the switch display shortcut other than to set it to the side button on the pen. I've tried setting the shortcut to the XP Pen AC19 shortcut remote, but it doesn't work. Hopefully XP Pen will release some driver in the future to allow for switch display to work properly with this remote, or at least configure the driver to have the keyboard being able to perform switch display. The last thing I want to talk about is drawing performance. So the drawing performance on the Huion is slightly better compared to the XP Pen. The pen is slightly more sensitive, and there are no glitches with the various drawing software that I have tested on the Huion, namely Adobe Photoshop, Illustrator, Affinity Photo, Designer, Clip Studio, Mediabang Paint Pro, and Krita. This is the line quality test with XP Pen. So here I'm trying to vary the thickness of the line to see the transition from thin to thick. And it's not easy to draw the thin lines like this. The initial activation force is actually alright. It's just that when I press down to get the thicker lines, it's not easy to get those thin lines again. The strokes, they can taper quite nicely here, but it's not as smooth as I expect them to. With Photoshop, you can see there's a problem with the lines tapering. It tapers very abruptly and there is this tail at the end. This is the standard hard round brush. Let me switch to the Cal Ultimate Inking Thick Brush. The taper is slightly better, but it's still very abrupt. And if you look very closely, there is still that tail at the end there. I don't have such problems with Huion. This is the line quality test. This is the line quality test with Huion. And here you can see the variation of the thin and thick. It's very obvious. Whereas with the XP Pen earlier, the thin and thick is not that obvious. So here I can draw thin lines very easily. I can press down hard to get the thick lines and reduce my pressure to get the thin lines very easily. The lines taper more smoothly as well, not as abrupt as what you saw with the XP pen, and this is the same performance you can expect with Photoshop on the Huion pen display. Alright, to conclude, each pen display has its own pros and cons. The main selling point here for the XP pen is the touch screen, which allows you to draw more intuitively, and you can now use those Windows apps that were designed for touch interface properly on this pen display. The main selling point here for the Huion is the pen is slightly more sensitive and there are no glitches with Adobe Photoshop. So you can decide which one is worth the money for you, which one is more suitable for your needs. Let me know what you think about these two pen displays in the comment section below, and do check out the links that I have for you for the detailed reviews for these two pen displays there as well. Thanks for watching. I hope this video is helpful. See you guys in the next video. Bye.